Hello YouTube. So, in the last episode of the Space Marine Army construction for the Death Company Strike Force, we built ourselves the chaplet. Did it go the best? No. But that's okay. Because today, sorry about that, we're going to go ahead and work on the Death Company squad, one of those smaller packs that I showed you guys. Now, for this next segment, just so you know, while I am going to be going over the construction of one 5-man group, the entire rest of everything I have here is all going to be pretty much the exact same thing. It's going to be a group of assault marines with jump packs carrying chain swords and bolt pistols. That's due to the way the game works, so that way I can have the cheapest, most efficient army possible, so that way if needed and I find an extra room, I might add another tactical squad or something important. But for the sake of brevity and making sure that you guys don't have to sit through me constructing 30 Marines, which will take a while, and I can get things done a lot quicker if I'm not filming it because I don't have to show you guys what's going on. We're just going to go over the construction of the 5 Marines on their own. Now, something I do want to do, and I want to do this on camera just to make sure, you know, I don't go crazy. I'm going to count up how many bases we have left over after that because I want to prove to you guys that sometimes Games Workshop can be a little bit finicky with the bases. So, we need 30 bases, right? That makes sense. So here's 4. I'm going to open up this bag here. So I'm going to count this with you guys real quick before we get started, because this will, I don't want to pre-glue everything unless I know for sure I'm going to have enough bases for everyone to stand on. I need 30 bases. So let's just pull everything out of their bases. If it'll let me open them. There we go. Alright. Let's get all these guys flipped over. And then the big bag, which is for the big amount of sprues. But I do need to know if I'm going to need to order more bases or not. Hopefully not. And unfortunately, to my discovery, these Marines are, the way the game is, these Marines might be a little bit bigger than my Blood Angels, which I do want to go over at some point. And while we are okay, so all of the dudes are called Blood Angels, but this is Death Company. It's like its own miniature regiment within the Grand Chapter. So I just want to go over to make sure we have 30 bases here. Because if we don't have 30 bases, then we're going to have a problem. So I'm just going to count that before we go ahead and get started with the construction process. Alright. It's looking pretty good so far. Oh no, I think we're 1 short. Actually, shoot, why are we 1 short? That's not right. How did we get 1 base short? I don't... Okay, so we only have 29 base... Well, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Oh, wait, we're 5 over. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Maybe with bits we can make an extra for troops, specifically, like, to go with our chaplain. Well, in that case, it turns out we might actually have more Marines than I thought, which would be wonderful. That means more troops for us to work with. So anyway, let's not worry about the bases. We know we have all the bases, so let's go ahead and start off by cutting out some sprues. So what are we going to do? Well, in order to construct a normal Marine, we generally are going to need to cut out a certain amount of shoulder pads. I'm going to do the shoulder pads first because they're the easiest to show off. So we need to think about, okay, well, what do we want our guys' shoulders to look like? And this is for the Death Company, of course, so they're going to be a little more fancy and cool and evil. So I think we're going to want to do these bases on this side, the Death Company one over here, and then a Blood Angel wings for that, in order to get cool looking shoulders. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this and start cutting out all of the shoulder pads for the squad. Now keep in mind this is just for 1 squad, and this is why I'm not going to be filming every single squad. Like every single group of Marines that I build, because that would be absolutely ridiculous. Unless you guys ask for it. I mean, if you guys want to see me build all of the Marines, you know, all 30 of them, possibly 34 now, as I just counted the bases, and we actually have extra bases, I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to film all of them. I just don't want you guys to watch something that I think you guys wouldn't find interesting. You know, I don't want to waste your time. Because I want you guys to go out and build your own army. I mean, I'm happy for you to go out and go ahead and buy some Blood Angels. Blood Angels are pretty darn awesome. We're all about assaulting the opponent, getting close combat. But, you know, our firepower isn't to be pushed over either. That's why I do have those I will be showing off later, or possibly before, depending on when this video comes out, the core army of my Blood Angels. That won't be including this, even though what I'm building right now is actually going to be a bigger group than what I currently own. This is still technically a detachment, or if anything, this is technically the main army, and then the guys who are in red, who are actual like Blood Angel guys, would be considered like a reinforcement group for the thematics of the game. You know, I'm all about the storytelling and like the theme of it, because that's really what draws me into Warhammer 40k. Like in the first place was the idea of, oh cool, space marines going out fighting for humanity, you know, gonna kill all of the aliens. But there's only so much the humans can really do, you know. Like, we're great and all, but not everyone's perfect. Alright, so we're just gonna cut out a couple more of the shoulder pads. Okay, gonna need to cut off that little bit there. And then once all of these get cut out, we can go ahead and cut out some of the other stuff. And this is probably like the quickest part I'm going to show you for the actual process of cutting them out, because I don't want you guys to sit through me just cutting out all of the stuff. I'm sure the gluing part is much more interesting in my opinion. And then for this one, because what we... Oh, you know, these guys look kind of... We might hang on to these shoulder pads depending on what's provided to us in other packs, and we might do that. So we're not gonna... we're only gonna cut out 2 more, but keep in mind that... like this blank one, for example, even though there are wings on it, I don't know. It's just not my style. As much as I love the wings, I don't really want to... Well, yeah, we're going to do it like this. So, we're going to get this shoulder pad and make it go with this one. If it wants to come out. Hold on. Let me try something sneaky. Ah, perfect. And then if need... Nope, we don't need to. Okay. So the shoulder pads are cut out. So what's the next step? Well, we're going to need some torsos there. So we're not cutting out backpacks because we're not going to be using backpacks. But what we are going to need is the bodies. Here they are. So each pack comes on like 2 different sprues. So what we're going to need is all of these bodies. All of them. Because there's 5 Marines and there's only 10 bodies. Each body is split into 2. So we're going to cut out every single one of these. I'm just going to cut one out for you to show you guys what that's like, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut away and do the hardcore cutting in a second. Let me just cut apart that sprue. Okay. So if you check it out, this is kind of what the back of a body looks like. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut away and cut out all of these. So I'll be right back. Okay, so as you can see, we've just cut out all of these guys are now empty, and we have the bodies, the torsos already cut out, ready to go. So the next thing we're going to need, which is going to be pretty important, is figuring out what kind of heads we want to put on these guys. So I'm cutting everything out so we can go through massive gluing phase. Now for me personally, and this is just a thematic thing, because I happen to know that all of these guys are just support units, we're just going to be cutting out the 5 heads where they all have helmets. And also, I just like helmets on my Marines. I don't know, that's just a me thing. But what's cool about this, I don't even need to cut away. We can literally just twist off every single one of these heads. I mean, you're not going to be able to see it very well, but it won't be that bad. See that? Alright, and then we can just assign a head to each Space Marine. Okay, and then what else are we going to need? Well, we're going to need their weapons. So, out of these 2 sprues, out of this big group, we're going to be equipping everyone with the exact same thing. They're going to have the bolt pistols, and there are currently 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there should be a 5th one on the side. Let me just double check, make sure we are good to go. I did see 5. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as well as the 5 chain swords. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's going to be the weapons everyone is going to be using. Everyone is going to have the same weapons. So we're going to go ahead and cut out all of those right now, and I'm not going to go through the process of cutting those out, but I will hold them up and show them to you afterwards. So be right back. Alright guys, so I just cut out the 5 bolt pistols, so I'm going to actually get up a little bit behind the camera just so that way you guys can kind of see what that'll look like. It's a cool little gun, because I know that the camera's a bit zoomed out, but I want you guys to kind of see what we're doing here. So as you can see, we do have all of our guys kind of matched up right now with their different things. So now what we're going to do next is we're going to go up here. We're going to cut out these chain swords. As you can see there, we got 2 down here. We're going to cut out all of those and then line those up together. And then we're going to move on to the legs. It's going to be the next thing we're definitely going to want to do. Okay, so now we do of course have this cool chain sword that we just cut out, that it's going to be on all 5 of our characters. So the next thing we are going to want to do is the legs. So let's figure this out. So we have 1, 2, 3. I'm doing this on camera just to clarify that all my pieces are here, so that way if game, for some reason I don't have all the parts, I can go after Games Workshop for not providing me all the proper equipment to build my dudes. But, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 legs, so that is going to be good. So that is going to be the next thing that we're going to cut out and of course line up. And then the next after that, we're going to be doing the jump packs. And then after that, we should be able to begin the gluing process for these 5 Marines. Okay guys, so the next and final step we are going to be doing for cutting out everything we need is going to be of course getting those jump packs out. So as you can see, we had 3 on that sprue and 2 on this one. So as soon as we cut all this out, we will begin the gluing process of these Marines. Alright guys, so as you can see, all of my Space Marines have been figured out. We have every single component that we will need in order to completely construct our first 5 Assault Marines. So we're going to go ahead and begin with the gluing stages of this whole kind of deal. So let's go ahead and get our glue out. A little bit sticky still. And the first thing we're going to want to do is glue these torsos together. So I've glued many a torso together in my time, and they still fit together. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Do these bodies not completely line up? Hold on, I need to oh no, there we go. Okay, I found a way to make it work. I just wanted to make it clear to myself how we were going to be doing this. But I do believe I figured out the best way to do it. So we're going to go ahead and begin gluing together some torsos. Oh, alright. Because the torso is probably one of the most important things that we need to get glued on right. We need to glue it on efficiently and smartly. So there's one torso being glued together. Let's move on to the other torsos. Okay. Boom. Alright. Now let's move on to the second torso, as it should be glued on. Let's just hold that down for a second. We want to hold down the torsos, so that way the torsos actually stay together during the gluing process. Oh, we don't really want any amount of wiggle room and such to happen, because we want to keep our torsos together so that way they can support the head of our Space Marine quite easily. Let's go ahead and move on to the gluing of the third torso. Alright. Let's go ahead and snap these guys together, because these do actually have little pegs that help lock it in place. So again, we're just going to hold it down, keeping it nice and ready to go. Now, one good thing about painting the Death Company is that one, their base color is black, which means that when we go through to you know, like detail and such, get some glue on there, that it does mean that the glue itself, if we make any gluing mistakes, will be less noticeable, because the black actually does a very good job of hiding any glue that may or may not slip through the cracks. Now, fortunately, I've been gluing. I've done torsos for a long time, and they're pretty easy to do, and I'm pretty much an expert at gluing together the torsos. So usually, I won't have any glue bleeding through on my Marines. But if you happen to be gluing Space Marines and they happen to be dark, no, not Dark Angel, sorry, Death Company, then you'll know that this is probably one of the easier of the chapters to do. Or, well, not chapter, I guess it's the faction. I'm not perfect with my lore, guys. Don't hate me for not being able to quote everything perfectly, but as you can see, those torsos are getting glued down quite well. And as soon as these torsos get fully glued together, we can glue on the head and the legs. Now, the legs are something quite interesting. That's something that we're going to need. We can pretty much glue straight onto the bases. There's not much of a consequence for doing that otherwise. But let me look here and see how they're recommending the gluing to work. Okay, I see. So we're going to need to do a little bit more editing with our pliers here, just to really flatten out that foot as much as we can, because we want this. He's pretty much going to be standing on one leg for this whole thing, and because of that, we need to make sure that he's on the base a bit back, so that way the weight will balance out correctly. So that should be about good. So let's go ahead and put some glue down on the foot of this guy. There we go. If you can see, hopefully you can see that. We are putting glue down on that guy. And we're just going to go ahead and stick him right on the base. Okay. And now unfortunately we don't have anything good support-wise that we can use to kind of keep him supported, I guess. So what we're going to want to do is actually go ahead and grab this little piece we had earlier from our, I hope you can see this, from one of our other models. You know what, even that isn't quite going to be enough to support it in the way we need, because the problem is the guy's foot just kind of hangs up in the air, because this guy isn't completely level. So we're actually just going to kind of hold it down a bit, which is fine. We're going to want to put on some more glue right along in his foot, just to make sure he's really hunkered down there. And we're going to want to lean it up on something. Let's go ahead and grab our other things over here and just lean it up against that. It's going to be perfect? No, it's not going to be perfect, but it should give us a pretty good idea of how everything's going to stack up. Let's go ahead and grab another one of these bigger ones, because I pretty much almost want it to be sandwiched in between. And for the sake of getting through this pretty quickly, I'm just going to cut here and come back to when all the dudes are glued to standing on their bases. Alright, as you can see, the guys are currently gluing on their bases, but I figured we'd go ahead and start out by also gluing together all of the backpacks, because backpacks are something we can also glue down pretty easily. So as you can see, backpacks are pretty straightforward in their components. So we're just going to go ahead and apply glue to where is needed on these backpacks, and then everything else should just fall into place pretty straightforward-ish, I'd say. So all you got to do is take one of these backpacks and they can pretty much lock into place. Not much of an issue there in terms of the gluing itself. So that's one backpack down. Let's go ahead and glue down the rest of the backpacks. Okay, perfect. Drop the glue there. And this next backpack is gluing quite well, if I might say so myself. Alright, then let's go ahead and glue down this backpack. Okay. Get that. You gotta get it holding in your hands pretty steady in order to make sure that the glue is, of course, applied correctly. You don't want to misapply glue. That's never something we're looking for when we go through the process of making sure everything's locked down. Alright. Let's go ahead and attach that third backpack. I love these Death Company Assault Marine backpacks, by the way. I think they look very, very nice. this one glued down. Nope. Okay. Just have 2 more backpacks to glue on down. The glue does dry decently fast, I'd say. So it doesn't take too long to get everything kind of sealed up, but you do want to be a bit careful in the early stages. A lot of times what I've been doing for these videos is doing this glue stuff over the course of days, just because of the fact that I wanted to make sure everything was really glued down correctly before I ever moved on to each new step. But for these ones, like for the torsos for example, those should already be pretty solid, which is pretty nice. And we're not going to make the same mistake as the last time. We're going to wait until we see the poses our guys are going to be in before we glue on their shoulder pads, because I don't want the shoulder pads to be wonky like our commander. But you know what? Our guy's unique now, so it's not the end of the world. I'm not really too upset about it. I'm more of a troops guy than any other type of like super powerful thing. Alright, so that is going to be the backpacks, and for the time being that is going to be all that we are physically going to be able to glue, I'd say, before I have to sit and wait for a bit. So of course for you guys, this will take no time at all. In the next phase, we're actually going to be gluing down the heads, hopefully the arms, and putting the torsos on, you know, pretty much starting to really attach it and really make sure all 5 of the Marines are in fact locked down and completely good to go. So obviously I'll see you guys in just a second. Alright you guys, so now that we have all of the legs glued on, you see that? We got the legs that are stuck on. This guy's only, well, I guess we have 2 fragile guys who their legs aren't completely touching the base, but totally fine. So now that we have the torsos glued on, we're going to go ahead and take all of our torsos and glue them directly onto the Marines. And then right after those things are balanced, we're going to do the heads. And I'm going to do that simultaneously because I feel like I don't need to do a cut, like a jump cut, just to let me show you gluing on the heads, because that's a pretty, pretty typical task. So, gonna get all that glued on, and possibly we might even see some backpacks. We'll just see how quickly that the glue is drying for us right now. Alright guys, so I decided to go ahead and just finish the models, because at this point it was like kind of dragging on. I was like, I don't want to waste your guys' time with these models, so let's just go ahead and take a look. They're all equipped exactly the same. They got a chain sword and a bolt pistol, and each one of them have their own unique kind of pose, and I'm really impressed with the way they turned out. Like that guy's kind of looking at an angle. You know, this guy's a bit more defensive. This guy's just leading the charge. So I think overall the models came out pretty well. They are drying right now though. I have not put them into the official army box, which is this one right here. We're going to get into that later. We're going to go to that later. But for now, I've created 5 out of the 30 models that I have to build. So for the rest of it, since they're all going to be pretty much exactly the same, I'm not actually going to be filming the construction of any more models because, you know, you saw this construction, so there's no reason to go through more of the same thing. So the next video you should expect to see from me will be talking about the pretty much the core of my army, kind of what that was meant to do, and then another video talking about the Death Company Strike Force, and then how those two will be working together in order to get a solid objective control and like map control, and pretty much just the tactics behind why I'm using pretty much two separate armies to come together into one giant battle company. So, hope you all enjoyed this cool construction of the first Death Company Assault Squad, and more will be on the way. So, I'm Elwirfy, and I'll see you guys next time.